Whew. Man. Hello, humans. Is anybody else tired of this election cycle? This has got to be the most fatiguing, absurd, bullshit election cycle I've ever seen in my entire life. You're stuck with these two candidates. You're stuck with Hillary Clinton on the Democratic side. You're stuck with Donald Trump on the Republican side. These two candidates that don't nobody want. At least not in the population, the general population. These are the two most unpopular candidates in the history of this country. And this is who we're stuck with. And you really have to look at how we got to this point. You really do. You really have to look at how we ended up with Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump. You really have to look at how the media, the corporate media specifically, controlled by 6 mega conglomerates, took it upon themselves to force Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump on us in some kind of weird, some weird campaign to make sure that Hillary Clinton ends up being president. I mean, it's no secret that the media is liberal. And I know all the left-wingers out there are gonna blow a gasket because I say that. But let me just say this. There is a difference between liberal and left-wing. I am a left-winger. Okay? I am a left-winger because, like all left-wingers, I want to take wealth and power from the elites and give it to everyone else. That's what a left-winger is. Democratized society. That's what left-wing politics is. That's what Martin Luther King was. That's what Gandhi was. That's what Jesus was. That's who Che Guevara was. It doesn't matter what form of left-wing politics you subscribe to. Ultimately, left-wing politics is about taking wealth and power from the elites and giving it to everybody else. Democratizing society. That is what left-wing politics is about. That is not who liberals are in this country. Liberals are politically correct Republicans. Liberals are people more concerned with people's sex lives and enforcing this weird political correctness on all of us. Forcing that everybody gets a trophy culture on our children. Forcing a transgender agenda, a sexual ambiguity agenda. That's who liberals are. None of those things have anything to do with taking wealth and power from the elites and giving it to the working classes and the poor and everyone else in society. So when I say the media is liberal, I'm not saying that the media is left-wing, because they are not. Rupert Murdoch and Robert Iger and Jeffrey Immelt and whoever is out there, Sumner Redstone, these people are not, I repeat, are not liberal. I mean, they're not left-wing, should I say. They are not left-wing or liberal. But the liberal agenda fits perfectly with their corporate agenda. Because ultimately, modern Western liberalism serves their purpose. People are so concerned with making sure transgenders can use whatever bathroom they want to use, and are so fixated on gay marriage and abortion and all these other distraction, well, let's just be honest, bullshit issues. They're so focused on these issues that they're not focused on the issues that are about taking wealth and power from the elites and giving it to everybody else. Gay marriage and abortion exist as the perfect distraction issues. transgender bathroom usage. These things exist perfectly as a way to distract the left-wing consciousness away from issues of wealth and power. And that, my friends, is why the media is liberal and why they're conspiring to make Hillary Clinton the next president of the United States. She is not a left-winger. She's called one, but she is not one. Just like Barack Obama is called a left-winger. He is not one. These people are all about consolidating wealth and power. That's what they do. That's what liberals do in this time and age. These are people who will go on and on about feminism and then help Saudi Arabia, a country where they regularly stone women to death, bomb and kill up people. They will ignore that Saudi Arabia has horrible human rights violations, many of them against women. But they gave $25 million to the Clinton Foundation. So, of course, Hillary Clinton had to give them billions of dollars in weapons, or at least help the sale go through the State Department more efficiently. And that's a pattern in her career. That's a pattern in her life. And her husband's administration, too. For all of Bill Clinton's "I feel your pain," his lingo, this is a man who, as soon as he gets in office, looks at the North American Free Trade Agreement, better known as NAFTA, that George H.W. Bush, brought out there. And he signs it. He takes it around the country. He sells it and he signs it. Now, NAFTA, this free trade agreement, since it's been signed in 1993, I want to say, or 94, the wages of working class people in America, Mexico, and Canada have all fallen. But Bill Clinton's a left-winger, according to the media. The liberal media, of course. Now, I'm no conservative at all. I'm a left-winger. I'm the opposite of a conservative. You look at these issues that the Clinton administration had, where over and over again we're told by the liberal media how Bill Clinton is such a left-winger and how he's sticking up for the poor and how he's sticking up for the working class. I'm black, and all I heard my whole life was that he was the first black president. Meanwhile, in 94, he gives us the Clinton crime bill, which has sent millions of black people to jail. He put more black people in jail than Ronald Reagan did. And Ronald Reagan is the devil in black communities. Yet the media tells us he cares about the poor. He cared about the poor. He's a liberal. He's a left-winger. That's what they say. Welfare Reform Act comes along. 70% of the people who received welfare benefits were children in this country. And he made massive cuts to it to appease the Republican establishment. And yet we consider him such a good liberal left wing. He's the left wing or liberal Ronald Reagan, according to the corporate liberal media. He's the grandpappy, the patriarch of the modern Democratic Party. That's who he is. That's what he is. In spite of that, and if that's not enough, he signs the Telecommunications Act of 96, which is the reason that we only have 6 media conglomerates now. Because he undid all the regulation, the media regulation, during that FDR put forth after the Great Depression, and when he was in office, he undid all that. So now you had people like Clear Channel and Disney and Time Warner and General Electric and all these media conglomerates, Viacom, that have basically bought up the entire American news media because of that, Telecommunications Act of 96. Again, Clinton, who is supposed to be a good left-winger. And if that's not enough, during the Clinton era, there was this great woman named Brooksley Born, who was the chairperson of the Commodities Futures Trading Commission. And she basically begged Bill Clinton, you have to regulate derivatives. You really have to do that. These derivatives are going to destroy our economy if you let Wall Street play all these games. And Bill Clinton, listening to Robert Rubin, Larry Summers, Sandy Weil, all these people, he basically said, fuck you, bitch. And they ran her out of town. They ran that woman out of town, basically. And then what happens a decade later? The economy implodes, thanks to derivatives. Now, where are the liberals to elevate Brooksley Born as a liberal hero? Where is she at? Why elevate somebody as corrupt and who's as much of a sycophant to the power establishment as Hillary Clinton as your left-wing hero? Why not somebody like Brooksley Born? But that's solely the point. Liberals are not left-wingers. Liberals are establishment status quo people. And because Hillary Clinton is such a good puppet for the establishment, they reward her. And they're trying to reward her with this presidency here. I mean, if you just look at the sheer amount of if you just look at the absurd things this media has done to make sure that this woman is elected president, I mean, it's practically criminal. There's no way a country with a free media could allow these things to happen. There's the whole Bernie Bros phenomenon. All of Bernie Sanders supporters are sexist and they don't want to see a woman in power. Well, that wing of the left-wing establishment wanted to see Elizabeth Warren as the original nominee. Bernie Sanders was not that choice of the left wing originally. It was Elizabeth Warren. She was the one that everybody wanted. Elizabeth Warren. And now people like myself are voting for Jill Stein. So it's like, how are we sexist and don't want to see a woman in power? We wanted Elizabeth Warren. A lot of us are voting for Jill Stein. But yet still in the corporate mainstream narrative, we're all Bernie bros. They've silenced all the women who are against what Hillary Clinton has done, who call her out on her war crimes and her corporate pandering, whether it's Abby Martin and Rania Khalek and tons of other women out there who you could probably follow on Twitter or read online who've been very critical of Hillary Clinton. They've made Bernie Sanders supporters out to be racist. Oh, they're all a bunch of privileged white people and they don't know any black people. I'm pretty sure that Killer Mike is not a racist white dude who doesn't know any black people. I'm pretty sure Cornel West is not a privileged white dude who doesn't know any black people. But once again, the truth doesn't matter to these people. The truth doesn't matter to the liberal media. The only thing that matters is maintaining and protecting the status quo, which is what Hillary Clinton represents to them. In their minds, in their logic, they're saying, oh, well, Donald Trump represents such an existential threat that it's okay for us to break all the rules. It's okay for us to not have any integrity. But look at what you did to Bernie Sanders. Look at all the media people that she has in her pocket. Look at all the media people the Clinton campaign has in her pocket. Stephanie Cutter, Maria Cardona, Sarah Fagan, Hari Savugin, Linda Tran. Brent Bukowski from The Hill offered tons of advice to John Podesta, who is Clinton's campaign chair. At one point, he suggested that he had written pro-Sanders columns to build up credibility with Bernie Sanders supporters so that he'd be in a strong position to persuade them back to Hillary Clinton after she won the nomination. Now, that was exposed by WikiLeaks. That was exposed in the emails, in John Podesta's emails. Isn't that something? That's the fourth estate, folks. Right there. The media. Conspiring with the campaign against another candidate. CNBC host John Harwood offered advice to John Podesta and bragged about tormenting Republicans. From the New York Times, Mark Leibovich agreed to give the Clinton campaign, veto power over quotes for a story he wrote in the New York Times. This is the marquee newspaper in America, and you have a journalist offering a campaign veto power. Think about that. Think about what that means for our democracy when the fourth estate is in bed with a political campaign like that. And don't even get me started on Donna Brazile. Jesus. This is the DNC chairwoman here who works for CNN. And she actually fed Hillary Clinton debate questions. She fed her debate questions against Bernie Sanders. Twice. Fed her debate questions twice. So you can't even argue that this is about the existential threat of Donald Trump. Oh, I haven't even gotten to Glenn Thrush, who sent John Podesta a part of the story he worked on. And he even admitted, because I've become a hack. This is what he says now. Because I have become a hack, I will send you the whole section that pertains to you. Please don't share or tell anyone I did this. Tell me if I fucked up anything. Wow. He knows he's a hack. He knows he's a hack. He knows what he's doing. This isn't about the existential threat of Donald Trump, folks. This is not about the existential threat of Donald Trump. This is about maintaining a status quo here, folks. Because Bernie Sanders is about as far away from Donald Trump as you're going to get. Bernie Sanders has a perfect voting record with women's organizations. And yet somehow he's a sexist and the people who vote for him are sexist. You had people like Gloria Steinem out there degrading young women who voted for Bernie Sanders and saying, well, all the cute boys are with Bernie, and so they want to vote for Bernie. Really? Could it have something to do with the fact that Bernie Sanders isn't a corrupt war criminal like Hillary Clinton? And that a lot of young women have their own minds and don't want to vote for a corrupt technocrat like Hillary Clinton. Look at what Madeleine Albright said. There's a place in hell for women who don't support other women. Urgh. So where do women who bomb and kill other women by the thousands, like what Hillary agreed to when she voted for the war in Iraq, or when as Secretary of State she agreed to bomb thousands of Libyan women, or help Saudi Arabia while they conduct a terror campaign against millions of women in Yemen? What about them? I'm asking all the liberals out there. Where's the place that you go when you bomb women if you go to hell if you don't support women? But that's where we're at. That's where we're at politically. We have an entire media and an entire status quo that is determined to force Hillary Clinton on us. You have the Bush family supporting her. The Bush criminal crime family. George H.W. Bush. George W. Bush. There's not a prison low enough to put those two scoundrels in. Henry Kissinger, the butcher of Cambodia. Jesus. You can't get any worse than that. You can't get any worse than that guy. This is a war criminal here. He's supporting Hillary Clinton. Then you have a general right-wing establishment who has abandoned Donald Trump because they say, oh, well, he's racist and he's sexist and he blah, blah, blah. These are the same people who worship Ronald Reagan in spite of his welfare queens in Cadillac stands, which is one of the most racist things a political candidate has ever said. This is a guy who, his wife, to an audience near Chicago, said, look at all these beautiful white faces while she talked at a country club. This is a man who talked about states' rights, championed states' rights, while giving a speech in Philadelphia, Mississippi, where the 3 civil rights workers were killed. And yet it's Donald Trump who's too racist for you people? Ronald Reagan ramped up a war on drugs that was inherently racist, that was started by Richard Nixon specifically to destroy the black community and disrupt the black community. Reagan ramps it up, puts millions of blacks in jail, and that's not too racist for Republicans. George H.W. Bush has an ad starring Willie Horton, the infamous Willie Horton ad, that used race, the specter of a violent, aggressive black man, the fear of that, to scare white people into voting for him. But it's Donald Trump who's too racist for you people. Really. George W. Bush told Republicans that John McCain had a black baby, and therefore they shouldn't vote for him. But it's Donald Trump who's too racist for you people. Really? Come on. You don't care about racism. Let's just be honest here. You care about maintaining the status quo. And you believe that Hillary Clinton is the best bet for that. Just admit it. There's a military-industrial complex that has to be upheld. Pillaging through the Middle East and Africa and all these places. That's what this is about. This isn't about racism. This isn't about sexism or any of the things the media want to tell you it's about. This is about maintaining the status quo. And that's exactly why they'll tell you everything Donald Trump has said his whole life. Oh, I'm so famous. I could grab women by the pussy. Rah, rah. They took a taped conversation that he had with one of his homeboys. You guys have all heard it by now. And the corporate liberal media somehow turned this into sexual assault. Are you serious? Are you serious? This is absurd. What he was doing was what 90% of every other dude does, which is talk shit with his homies. Okay? And if we live in a world where you can't talk shit with your homies, I don't know what to say. Okay? Everybody has said all kinds of stuff when they were with their homies. I know for a fact I've threatened to kill damn near everybody. Man, I'll kill this dude. I'll whip that dude's ass. I'll do this, I'll do that. When you with the homies. We don't say, oh, well, you're condoning murder and assault because when you're by yourself with one of your homies, you're talking about you want to kill this person or beat that person. We understand it for what it is. Hyperbolic language. Selling wolf tickets. What's wrong with selling wolf tickets? Yeah, what he said was crass and was crude, but so is 90% of what dudes say. And, of course, Trump says it's locker room talk, and so they get all the NBA players and NFL players to come out and say, well, in our locker room, we don't talk like that. Well, I don't believe you, LeBron. I don't believe you, LeBron. Okay? I don't. I don't believe any of the NBA players who said that. I've seen news reports with female reporters who've come out and said exactly what goes on in male locker rooms and exactly the things that they've had to hear from male athletes. Whether it's being flashed, having all kinds of lewd and lascivious comments made about their bodies, all kind of lewd and lascivious propositions. Now you're going to tell me all those female reporters are lying when they say that after they've been in male locker rooms? Of course they're not lying. They're keeping it real. They're telling the truth. But since the media is once again trying to spread this narrative to force Hillary on us, then of course, they just have to keep piling on. Everything is piling on. Just like they did with the whole Mexicans are rapists and killers things and all this other stuff. Donald Trump never said all Mexicans were rapists or killers. He just said there's a lot of rapists and killers coming here illegally from across the Mexican border. Now, I don't know how true that is because we don't know who the hell these people are. And there's no way that in the world, post 9/11 world, that anybody should be coming into the United States of America that we don't know who the hell they are. Are there some drug lords coming here? Maybe. How do we know they're not? I'm not saying Trump's not a douchebag. He is, in every way. I'm not saying he's never sexually assaulted a woman. He probably has. He's a billionaire, which inherently makes him a sociopath. But let's not pretend, too, that this same corporate liberal media hasn't defended Bill Clinton for years and swept Bill Clinton's indiscretions under the rug, going back to Juanita Broderick and Kathleen Willey and all these people. They don't call him a serial rapist. Come on. He's still the grand poobah of the Democratic Party. He's still everybody's patriarch in the left wing, according to the corporate liberal media. But now all of a sudden Trump just saying, hey, I'm so famous I can grab by the pussy. Ah. Juanita Broderick said Bill Clinton straight up raped her. And all the same liberals who say that you always have to believe the woman, no matter what, have absolutely nothing to say about that. Nothing. Oh, she's crazy. Oh, she's making it up. It's the Republicans. But I thought all women had to be believed. What happened to that? They throw that out the way when it comes to defending the Queen. The Queen Bee. They conveniently ignore when people like Juanita Broderick and Kathleen Willey and all them talk about all the times Hillary Clinton threatened them for telling their story. Where's Madeleine Albright then to tell us how Hillary Clinton is going to hell because women who don't support other women are going to hell? Where's she at then? Where are all the feminists who remind us about rape and sexual assault every 4 or 5 minutes when we talk about Trump? Where have they been at the last 20 years when it comes to the Clintons? And it's just this constant barrage, man. I'm just seeing Michael Moore, who I used to have a lot of respect for, talking about, oh, we got to have more female politicians, which I'm not against. I'm not against it all. I'm voting for a woman. I voted for Hillary Clinton before I woke up in 2008. So I'm not inherently against female politicians. I think Jill Stein's a great woman, which is why she's getting my vote. But Michael Moore's reasoning, oh, a woman's never dropped a bomb on anybody, and a woman's never done this, and a woman's never done that, and all these horrible things men have done. Louis C.K. out there pandering to the feminists. Oh, women are so much superior to men in every way. Which in a weird way is even more patronizing than what Donald Trump does to women. Women are humans, just like everybody else. They're capable of all the things that men are. treachery, lies, deceit, murder. Okay. Why don't you look at Ava Braun, Imelda Marcos, okay, Griselda Blanco. Read about the godmother, Griselda Blanco, and how she used to rape chicks, and how she invented basically the drive-by on motorcycle, and how she had thousands of people killed between Colombia and Miami in the 70s and 80s. Oh yeah, women aren't capable of that. This is just a constant barrage of liberal corporate agenda being spread here. You don't even hear about the things that are relevant in this election, which is political corruption. You don't hear about how they used the Clinton Foundation to secure lucrative speaking engagements for Bill Clinton with UBS, Barclays, Dow Chemicals, Coca-Cola, that much. Yeah, they'll do a story on it on CNN here and there. MSNBC mostly ain't touching it. You don't hear about the $29 billion in weapons that came after the $25 million in donations to the Clinton Foundation. You don't hear about how the King of Morocco gave him $12 million, or they tried to get $12 million out of the King of Morocco. You don't hear about these things. You don't hear about how the DNC purposely tried to limit the number of debates to box out other candidates to make sure that Hillary Clinton was the nominee from the DNC. You don't hear about how the Labor Secretary Tom Perez advised the campaign to go after Bernie Sanders and call him the candidate of angry white people, purposely alienating minorities from the Sanders campaign. They don't even tell you how she basically had half of the super delegates in June of 2015. Before the campaign even started, the super delegates had already, from the Democratic Party, supported Hillary Clinton. They don't tell you that. The media's not going to tell you that. They don't tell you how the Clinton campaign tried to convince Illinois officials to move up the state primary as a favor to the Clintons, to once again try to box out the Sanders campaign. In the memo, they said the Clintons won't forget what their friends have done for them. Democratic Party donors threatened Tulsi Gabbard and insinuated that she wasn't being a good woman because she supported Bernie Sanders. You got the American Federation of Teachers president, Randy Weingartner. She pledged to go after the National Nurses Union, for their sanctimonious support of Sanders. This is an entire party. The Democratic Party at this point is a criminal organization. And I'm not exaggerating. When you look at all the things they did, they marginalized people in their own group. They threatened people. You won't hear any of this in the mainstream media. You won't hear about Haiti. You won't hear about how Roger Clinton and Hugh Rodham are pillaging that country. They have lucrative deals that allow them to get the oil and gold from the Haitian people. They won't tell you how people in Haiti are living in trailers, poisoned with formaldehyde. They won't tell you any of that. The ironic thing about all these emails linking from WikiLeaks is that really the one person who comes out looking good in all this is Chelsea Clinton. I mean, who'd have thunk it? The spawn of Hillary and Bill Clinton is the only person in the Clinton Foundation who has any integrity or honor. Isn't that something? She warned people about hustling at foundation events because it seems that Chelsea actually wants to help people, weirdly enough. I know, isn't that a novel concept? A foundation, a charity actually helping people. And of course the media will focus on Donald Trump and the whole birther controversy. They'll sit around and they'll talk about, oh, Donald Trump questioned whether Obama was born in America. But it was the Clinton campaign who first raised those questions. They did that back in 2008. Why I voted for him anyway, I don't know. That's something I'm going to have to deal with, but thank God she didn't win. Anyway, but Sidney Blumenthal is the one who really is the genesis of the birther controversy. Of course, the media basically buries that. Let's not forget how she likened him to Robert F. Kennedy and said he might get assassinated. He might get assassinated. That was the reason that she gave for not dropping out of the race in 2008. Because he might get assassinated. Wow. Let's not forget how Bill Clinton compared Obama to Jesse Jackson when he diminished his campaign, essentially saying, oh, well, this other black guy didn't really win that much. So I guess this black guy won't win that much either. Because that's about all Jesse Jackson and Obama have in common. They're both black. Of course, the corporate liberal media doesn't bring that up anymore. And of course, the media, the corporate liberal media, they won't tell you about, well, they won't spend a lot of time telling you about how Loretta Lynch met with Bill Clinton on the back of an airplane while Hillary was being investigated. Or how Peter Kadzik gave the Clintons heads up on email investigations. Or how the FBI's deputy director, Andrew McCabe, his wife received $700,000 in political donations from a close friend of the Clintons. I mean, this stuff is too easy. This stuff is far too easy. And they tell us that Donald Trump is the imminent threat. Oh, he's the imminent threat. He wants to start a war with all these people. Yet it's Hillary Clinton who's starting a war with the Russians. That's the other smear tactic that the liberals are using against all of us left-wing critics. You love Russia. You're all communists. You all love Putin. The same thing that liberals made fun of Mitt Romney for saying in 2012 when he was running against Obama, which is that Russia is a giant enemy of ours. Democrats recycle that line to ostracize anybody who criticizes Hillary Clinton. Now, you would think in general, in most cases, the media would be in favor of the billionaire Donald Trump, because obviously he's a bigger product of the corporate state even than Hillary Clinton is. But not in this case. In this case, they hate the fact that Donald Trump is what you would call a rogue. Because he's so rich, they can't control what he says. They can't control what he does. They got a good thing going here. And they want to make sure that he doesn't mess it up. He's talking about bringing back Glass-Steagall, the law that kept commercial banks and investment banks separate. He actually put that in the Republican platform. I was stunned. You have a situation in which Hillary Clinton is running to the right of the Republican candidate. Donald Trump is railing against NAFTA, railing against the North American Free Trade Agreement that we talked about earlier, that dropped the wages in Canada, America, and Mexico. Donald Trump has a populist movement. I hate using that word populist because I hate when they call him a populist, because he's not a populist. There's no such thing as a populist billionaire. It doesn't exist. But the rhetoric he uses is definitely popular. And this corporate media can't stand to hear that.